Hello and welcome back to a new video of Adrian's Film Collectibles. Well, for this video, it's a rather sensitive one and historical one, and uh, it dives into the history of World War II. So a lot of this is to do with Charlie Chaplin and Adolf Hitler mainly, and the Nazi Party during the 1939-45 war of World War II. And I've got some original pieces from that time period, that I'm in no way celebrating this. This is more just for historical, educational purpose only. But at the same time, I'm really proud and excited to have it, a part of the collection, and it does have a connection to Charlie Chaplin and even Lauren Hardy, because that they lived through those times. They all lived, as well as all the old stars of that period, all lived during the time of World War One and World War Two. So even in their very professional careers, the futures would have been very uncertain, and a very frightening time. But I'm just trying to work out where to start from this. But back in March, I went to Germany, so I did Lubeck, and I did the location where parts of the 1922 Nosferatu film was made, which was fantastic. Found some locations there, and then moved on to Berlin, which again was absolutely brilliant. Found the location to Hitler's bunker, which isn't there anymore, but you've got the location where it is, and also another bunker which you can go in, which is also very similar to the one that he was in during the last periods of the war. But really, really interesting and fascinating stuff to learn about. Pretty much most of the buildings there were just blown away from the Allies when they invaded all corners of Berlin, and just destroyed everything. There are still quite a few original buildings that have bullet holes and chunks that are blown out of the concrete from the war, which is really fascinating and shocking and quite scary to see all that went on during that period. So, so what I'm going to start off with is I've got two original pieces. Now, I'm not a military collector in any way. It's more comedy, Lauren Hardy or Charlie Chaplin or the other film items. But I've always loved things that have connections to them, or connections that happened in their lives that was very much a part of their knowabouts of what was going on during that time. So this first item I've got, this is a German Nazi Party's members badge, and this is a Lapel Enroll Party badge M134 by Carl Ulster Party membership badge. So it's a very, very rare badge. It's all on round the rim description of the National Socialist Party. So this would be like when they were wearing suits or their uniforms, where they had this very small badge. And then just on from that, you have this, which is an original again. And this is a HG Hitler Youth armband World War II, and it's all cotton woven. So this would be like for the Hitler Youth. So this is a symbol of hatred. This is not a symbol you get to see that often now, but for World War One, World War Two collectors, it's a fascinating research and study, and among those kind of collectors that have that. And then just on from that, I have this, which is this is an original letter with you've got the golden swastika with Adolf Hitler name underneath, and then Adolf Hitler's signature just here. So this is around 1940, and you've got the Fuhrer stamp there with Adolf Hitler's full signature. So this was his more more so his signature during 1940 onwards, where his signature did change from his earlier stages throughout his life. So basically, it's a very rare World War II Adolf Hitler signed in ink signature order document to the SA Brown Shirt Stormtroopers. And this is from the Third Reich, and then dating from around 1940. And so this is an order that he's got on here. So this is a 73-1 SA Leadership Corps, number 2 SA Membership Leadership Corps, and then a 3 SA Administrative Leadership Corps, approved by the Supreme SA Leader, Nazi Supreme Leader Adolf Hitler. The Storm Division, or loosely Stormtroopers, or SA, was the original parliamentary organisation under Adolf Hitler. This is actually really scary and surreal to own this, and it's incredibly rare and a rare find. But I found these items, it was on a specialist military company that dealt with World War II, World War One, and also Civil War, all that kind of stuff. But it also had just other letters and other documents, but other leaders that were connected to Hitler, but also other leaders during the First World War. It was really, really fascinating stuff. And I have always wanted to try and get his over time, and I finally managed to find this one, which I'm very proud to have. But like I say, it's no way of a celebration. This is, this is a very bad person. But it's, as in terms of history and the connection with your own history, with your own families, respectfully, we all went through it. And being very respectful for the millions of lives that were lost because of this person. But the connection with Chaplin, there's quite a strong connection, I think. So basically, so I just refer to my notes. I'll just pop this down. So you can see Charlie Chaplin just behind me there. This is his signature there. Merry Christmas, December 9th, 48. So that's an example of one of his signatures. There's another one just there. So it's great historical stuff. As much as I love the cinema and theatre, I do love historical backgrounds as well, connected during all those time periods. But so basically, Adolf Hitler, he was born the 20th of April 1889, and he died 30th of April 1945. He was 56. So he was born in Austria-Hungary. He moved to Germany 1913, lived in Vienna. He was refused twice for admission to the Academy of Fine Arts, and was a very good artist at doing buildings and also people as well, but it was mainly buildings, sort of architectural paintings or sceneries, which is very good artwork if you can look it up online. He was a very good artist. Schooling was very poor and had no future ambitions of what he wanted to do. So he was homeless. So again, similar to Charlie Chaplin, lived in poverty, very, very poor. And then he had a love for Germany, so his passion was for Germany, and he entered World War One. So which he says was one of the best times of his life. Was a really proud moment of his life from 1914 onwards, 1918, and then he was temporarily blinded from mustard gas. And he was then in hospital in 1918, and that's when he found out that the war was lost to Germany. And of course, as we know, as history went on, he and then eventually he joined the Workers' Party. So this is the DAP. In 1921, appointed leader of the Nazi Party. In 1923, attempted to serve governmental power. In a failed attempt in Munich, was sentenced then to 5 years in prison, served just over half a year, where he wrote the first volume of his book, Mein Kampf, which was My Struggle. And then he did the second volume later on when he was out of prison. And then he came back into power in 1924 onwards. He gained popular support, what was known as the Nazi Party propaganda. Hitler was Chancellor on the 30th of April 1933, and then kind of like the rest is sort of history from that point, 33 to 45. Very, very dangerous and unrest during those years. But we know he committed suicide in 1945, or so they say, or some say that he escaped and escaped to like Argentina or somewhere like that, which there's no hard proof of any of that. But so his life ended in 1945 in the Fuhrer bunker. So you get Charlie Chaplin. So he was born April 16th, 1889, and of course he died December 25th, 1977. He was 88. So again, like Hitler, Chaplin, there was a lot of poverty. So he was born in London, Walsworth, Lambeth. There's no proper evidence to support exactly where he was born. There was his birth certificate. I don't think it exists or is actually on record. So it's sort of in between those two areas of London. And again, he gained wide popularity in 1914 at the Keystone Studios, the Max Sennett Keystone Studios. So 1914, Hitler went into World War One. So Chaplin became famous in 1914. So there's this sort of magnetic bond between the pair of them, in a way. So again, which he became known worldwide as the Tramp, and it became very popular, and he was more the positive, sort of happy comedian of joy throughout the world, whereas Hitler was known as the man of destruction. So you got the complete opposites. And then we know Chaplin did Shoulder Arms for First National in 1918, which is set in France. 1918, to do with World War One. So again, 1918. So again, Hitler, he was just coming out of the war then, after being gassed with mustard gas. So you have that period, and then of course there's the similarities. You've got Hitler with the very small moustache, the same as Chaplin with a moustache, but we know Chaplin, it was only a faint moustache, which was part of the Chaplin character, or his tramps, or the tramp character, basically. So basically, they were both born the same year, within the same month, the same week, within 4 days apart. So Charlie Chaplin was born on the Tuesday, Adolf Hitler was born on the Saturday. So then moving on to 1940 or 1939, where Chaplin then decided to go ahead with The Great Dictator, which he knew it was sort of a 50-50 chance how successful it might turn out to be. But he did it anyway, and a lot of it was financed out of his own money. So it was a political sort of black comedy, written, directed, produced and starred Charlie Chaplin. The first true sound film that he made, even though he did Modern Times before with special with sound effects, but then later on he decided to speak in The Great Dictator. So he plays both roles as the dictator and also as a Jewish barber, with Paulette Goddard, who was his real wife his third wife and his real wife in real life. So she played Hannah in the film. So again, you got connections to Laurel and Hardy. Where are they? There they are. Stan and Ollie. So you got connections. So you got Reginald Gardner, who was in The Flying Deuces, 1939. Who in The Great Dictator he plays one of the Chaplin dictators, high-ranking generals. And then you've also got Billy Gilbert, who was also a player at the Hal Roach Studios that was in The Great Dictator. And he was the one that had all these war medals on, and Chaplin kept ripping them off. And it created good comedy scenes throughout the film. But we know Billy Gilbert from the 1932 Music Box, as well as several other Laurel and Hardy classics. But just from memory, I think it was Stan Laurel that recognised Billy Gilbert and recommended him for their future comedies at the Hal Roach Studio. So that's interesting. And then other things during the uprising with the Nazis in the 30s, you have a lot of films that were a big problem. So you have The Bohemian Girl, which was 1936, that Laurel and Hardy made. The film was banned in Nazi Germany due to the positive description of gypsies. So that it was completely banned during that time. I'm thinking The Great Dictator, that was after 1945. It was then known to be seen more in Germany. But it's fascinating. It's really interesting, and to see how the connections come about with those early films during the war period. And we know that Hitler, he used to choose what films he wanted to watch. He actually enjoyed watching films. There's a lot of films that he enjoyed. If there was any films he didn't like, he banned them. He watched The Great Dictator, and he did laugh at it. There's a scene, what I can remember, with Charlie Chaplin going up and down as a dictator in a chair with Mussolini, the other Italian dictator, and they're sort of arguing in these high chairs that keep popping up and down. Apparently, during records and that, during that time, Hitler found it very funny that he actually found certain things about Chaplin that was funny. So he could actually laugh at himself. He could see the funny side of it. It was shown once to the Nazis apparently, and then they weren't sure what was happening. About 40 minutes into the film, they started getting upset and they drew their pistols and shot at the screen, and some of them marched out because it was like downplaying their leader. So fascinating stuff. I just wanted to show this. This is also a rock I've got, which I bought when I was in Berlin, which was part of the Berlin Wall. So this is a real piece. They were selling these in many of the shops. This comes with its certificate and all the details behind it. It's nice to just have this as a little memento. So the Berlin Wall was to separate East and West Berlin, with Germany and the Soviet Union when they occupied that part of Germany. Again, very, very it was a very, very bad time as well, because if you tried to escape, you'd get shot. And then eventually, of course, it came down in 1989. So it was 1961 to 1989. But it was like a pay as to control what the Germans did during the war, to separate the country, sort of to pay back all the damages, basically, to the Soviets. So fascinating stuff. So that's that. And I also, I'll just show that. I have put that on my page with Charlie Chaplin. That came from Germany, so it was a nice little find when I was there. I love that. Great sort of pop artwork of Chaplin. And not forgetting Charlie Chaplin's great speech at the end of The Great Dictator. I have been looking up on it on and off at times on YouTube, and even today people watch it and comment how powerful that speech was. Um, in Chaplin's view, it was probably his view of hope. Hopefully, it was a way of trying to maybe help shorten the war and to stop all the hatred, the bloodshed, and all the mass slaughter during that time. Um, so there it is. So that's a great piece of military history. What I call this a very sensitive bit of history, and very also very respectful as well for what it is. And you can't change or ignore what happened. So it's good to talk about it, and I find this is good to connect something original that's Adolf Hitler's signature at the time, around 1940, so the time of the great dictator, Charlie Chaplin, and have that in the collection. And I find there's a lot of pieces that I have now that's becoming more and more almost like museum quality items, really rare, unusual items, and it's great to show and share and talk about the historical side of it all, which is what I love. I love to do. I love to show and share and talk about it. So that's it for this video, and hope you enjoyed it, and look out for the next one soon. Bye for now.